Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our final Normal Islands Live of the year. I'm Curtis Daly, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Ben McLean. Ben, how are you doing this evening?
Doing very well. It's actually really nice to have us to be doing the final show of the year. I think that's kind of, I don't know. There's something sweet about it. There's two of us as some of the originals, and also we've got Sarah behind the scenes as well. Which I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this early in the show. But,
I don't know if there's an established rule where we reveal the producer or people guests in the chat, but I know what you mean. It's quite nice we love having our external guests, right? But it's nice to have it in-house for the last ever 2025 Normal Island. So I'm so thrilled that you're on the show tonight.
It's nice.
I do just want to note to people before we start, I wanted to highlight this, that basically we missed it right at the end of the last show. So a shout out to Coops4476 for giving an insanely generous super chat of $49.99. They said, just want to wish everyone at Turn Left and all the mods a very Merry Christmas. Thank you, Coops, for that. I mean, given that it was such a generous super chat, I thought it was really important to bring it up. And again, thank you for your generosity. But this is what we've got coming up on tonight's show. Socialist Andrea Egan elected as UNISON General Secretary. BMA doctors are on their third day of strikes. And Thomas Skinner is planning to sue Strictly Come Dancing. You can help us grow by visiting turnleftmedia.co.uk/support to help fund our work, or by becoming a YouTube member. But on to our first story. Andrea Egan has been elected as the new General Secretary of UNISON, the country's biggest union, in a boost to the left. This will be a significant blow to Keir Starmer, as the former social worker was expelled from the Labour Party in 2022, meaning Starmer no longer has an ally in the union. Her reason for her expulsion was simply sharing articles about Socialist Appeal, a proscribed organisation in the Labour Party. Egan defeated the incumbent and Starmer ally Christina McAnear with 60% of the vote. However, it was only on a 7% turnout. Now, such elections like this don't usually have a high turnout, so this isn't, unique to this election. Now, Egan's new position threatens the ties between the union and the Labour Party. In her manifesto, Miss Egan also said that the founding of your party by former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn and left-wing MP Zara Sultana means that many union members see the possibility of a viable alternative to Labour for the first time. She said she would make clear to this Labour government what our members expect and the consequences for failing to meet those expectations. Your party welcomed Miss Egan's election as leader, saying in a statement, Andrea's victory of an anti-austerity ticket shows that working class people won't take more cuts and more decline. UNISON members have said no to Starmer's crumbs off the table, no to chronic low pay, no to underfunding, and no to privatisation. It really is time for real change. But not everyone is happy with the election. Labour First tweeted this. With a turnout of just 7%, this election shows that a minority far left are able to take over a major union through disengagement. It shows a need to always be organising for moderate courses within all parts of the Labour movement. We urge members to stay in unison. I mean, that's really funny, don't you think? Let's talk about a minority taking over a major institution. Like, I don't know, Labour Together and Morgan McSweeney. Now, Jeremy Corbyn was voted Labour leader twice by the membership. Keir Starmer had to lie to the membership to get elected. They knew, obviously, their politics wasn't popular, so they had to lie. Now, they are running the party like a clique, expelling those that disagree with them. So the irony of calling a democratic expression as essentially a hostile takeover is really wild to me. Others were more conciliatory. Tom Watson tweeted this. This is a generous acceptance announcement from Andrea. I sincerely hope she applies to rejoin the Labour Party and that she is welcomed back by national exec... Let me start that again, sorry. This is a generous acceptance announcement from Andrea. I sincerely hope she applies to rejoin the Labour Party and that she is welcomed back by our National Executive Committee. Keir Starmer said this: "Congratulations to Andrea on her election of General Secretary of UNISON. I look forward to working with her. A huge thank you to Christina McAnea for her outstanding contribution to the Labour and trade union movement. She played an important role in securing the landmark Employment Rights Bill, and her work has ensured this Labour government will bring in a fair pay agreement to boost the wages of social care workers." I mean, that's really got her saying that from two people inside the Labour Party who bitterly hate the left. Now, this is Andrea Egan in her own words on Owen Jones's YouTube channel.
I am so bitterly disappointed with Labour, as I've been a Labour member for many years. Before, I'm not a Labour member now, but I've been one for many years. And it is a disappointment at the moment that working class people were crying out for change after 15 years of austerity imposed, a political choice imposed by the Tories. So when Labour came along and got into government, I think there was a lot of hope by working class people, certainly our members in UNISON, that Labour would bring about some changes that would impact much more positively on their lives, whether that be by the pay, the terms and the conditions and the jobs, or the environments in which they live, the communities in which they live. And they've absolutely failed to do that on so many levels. We have to absolutely challenge Labour. We've got to hold their feet to the fire, and by that we have to be bold and we have to be calling them out when they are selling our members and our communities down the river.
Amen to that. This is the biggest trade union in the country. What happens in this union will help determine the future of this country. This is such an important election. The ballot opens the 28th of October 2025. It runs then for another month. The result will be announced in December 2025. This would be Keir Starmer's worst nightmare, just saying.
I think it's very encouraging to hear a now union general secretary not willing to take Labour's nonsense and fall in line. Ben, the largest union electing a socialist, a Labour socialist, or expelled Labour socialist. Is this a big blow to Keir Starmer?
Yeah, it's a massive blow to Keir Starmer, and not just because she was expelled from the Labour Party by his clique. Of course, that's a factor. But it's also who Andrea Egan is as a person. For those who don't know, she's a former care worker. She's a former social worker and has been, she was working in social work for many, many years. Doubtless she's still got contacts within the social work sector, but that's what her profession was growing up. She's had a real job. She's not part of the professional managerial class that usually have some kind of sympathy with Keir Starmer. So apart from being a socialist, she's also working class, but also on the ground, on the front lines of austerity, if you like. I mean, in terms of social work, social care, can anybody name a profession that's been more impacted by the last sort of 15 years of austerity? I don't think you'll find somebody who's less sympathetic to the views that we need to continue with austerity, or that continuing with austerity is sustainable, than somebody who's been on the front line of care work. I've no doubt, because she worked with children in care, I've no doubt that she or people she worked with have had to turn to children who are just turning 18 and go, "I'm sorry, but in the coming weeks, you're going to be cut off and sent to a job centre because we don't have the capacity to be able to care for you once you reach adulthood. So we're just basically throwing you out onto the street," which happens a lot in the care system. The care system is underfunded in so many ways. There's so much abuse in the care system. One of the recommendations of the J report about child sexual exploitation and grooming was that children in care be looked after, and there be put that more barriers be put in place to stop them being abused. When it comes to Andrea Egan, don't forget it's not just Andrea Egan. It's Sharon Graham as well. Sharon Graham, of course, is General Secretary of Unite. She's been increasingly critical of Keir Starmer. She's been brilliant, I think, in standing up to Keir Starmer. But together they represent apparently about 2.5 million workers across the UK and Ireland. That is a lot of power. But it's a testament to who these people are, because of course they are older women. Older women don't get enough respect in our society, and just from a representation perspective, I love to see some older women at the top of these organisations, but more importantly, left-wing older women. I think left-wing older women being in these positions is really important because, ultimately, they've had to fight a lot of sexism to get into the positions that they're in. Union movements are not free from sexism. They're not spaces that are free from sexism, much as any part of society. But yeah, workers' unions at the moment are not free from sexism, and for these women to have risen to that point is fantastic. Love to see it. But I honestly think empowering older left-wing women is one of the ways that we can have better representation. I also want to say Christina McKenna, who she unseated, she is she's, I don't want to misrepresent her, right? Because she has done some work supporting the idea of like not targeting medics in Gaza. Like, she has done some good stuff, but she is one of Starmer's strongest supporters. I think there is a feeling under her watch that UNISON has been too passive. I think UNISON as a whole, actually, throughout the last sort of 20 years, has been far too passive. It's not as militant as Unite, and it needs to be more militant. And to people saying, well, she won on 7%, 7% turnout, you don't galvanise people with briefcases, right? If you want a higher turnout for your UNISON elections, you need to get that better turnout by being bolder, having like better social media, but just like be bolder and you'll get more engagement. I think the same way that Zach Polanski's election to the Green Party has galvanised people towards the Green Party, I'm hoping that this will have a similar effect, even on a smaller scale, for Unite, if Andrea Egan can be that bold kind of alternative vision.
I'm a bit more critical of Sharon Graham, and this is coming from someone who was pleasantly surprised when she was first elected. I backed, God, I forget his name now. He was like the left-wing firebrand, and then you had Steve Turner, who was like the compromise candidate. Please, someone put in the chat who I'm talking about. And I didn't really know Sharon Graham, and I was really disappointed when she won. But then she started doing some remarkable things, and I was like, okay, I'm going to eat my hat here. My problem with Sharon Graham, though, yes, she's increasingly criticising Keir Starmer. She's kind of all talk, no words. I think Andrea is far more radical, and I like that. I think you make a great point about austerity. Everyone's been hit by austerity, but social care significantly has been at the brunt of it. And we know that women have also faced austerity in a harsher way. I mean, austerity has hit women disproportionately. So I think having a socialist, a woman from a social care background in a prominent position that can really hold fire to Labour is, I think, superb. I thought what was interesting in that Labour first tweet, of course, it was saying, oh no, I mean, the radicals have taken over, they've taken over. And at the end, they said, stay in Unison. And I thought that was quite transparent because, remember, Unison isn't a political party. Unison is a trade union. Why would people leave if they didn't get their right leader? Because people are in a union because they want protections at work. They want to increase like their conditions and pay. So the idea that you would say, oh, you didn't get your right leader or we didn't get our leader, make sure you stay and fight. But they're treating it as a political party in which politics is 100% of what goes on in a political party. When it comes to unions, I mean, it doesn't matter who's leader. It's simply by being a union is a good thing, which kind of tells me that the Labour right do not care about unionisation. For them, it's just a tool to put their people in power rather than a union itself being in support of the working class. I want to ask you, in her so-called manifesto, she said that your party could be seen as a viable alternative to Labour. Like, she names dropped your party when Unison are still affiliated to Labour. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, could this give your party a much needed boost, potentially bringing on unions, which is more money and potentially more media coverage?
Okay, when it comes to your party, Egan does say that in that and other interviews does say that we'll have to see where they go. But the very fact that she's looking at your party and she's looking at alternatives to Labour should make Keir Starmer nervous. Like, I think that should make Keir Starmer nervous. I think that your party could gain from this if trade unions start demanding more from Labour for their support. I also think that there's another catalytic element to this. Like, if Andrea Egan shows a willingness to break with Labour, you kind of have to understand the age of the two-party system is over. Like, it's done. The age of the support for the Tories and the Labour Party, as far as I can see, at present, it might have a revival, but as things stand at the moment, it's done. People are not happy with the two-party system. So unions obviously being attached to one of the parties is potentially damaging for their popular support. And I think it might restore some faith in UNISON and get more members, actively involved, which has a snowball effect, of course, because the way that unions work is you participate, and through your participation, that is how you get more power. Unisons are you're a member of a unison. You're a member of a union, you're a member of a union, but you are also what drives that union. Nothing gets done in your workplace unless you and the people around you are willing to act, and I feel like this might have a snowball effect. It might galvanise more people to get involved, that are already present. Even if it doesn't lead to an increase in membership, it might lead to a greater increase in activity, which we love to see. Also, Andrea Egan, just singing her praises for a moment here, is very critical of Wes Streeting, which we love to see. I love to see somebody who is willing to hold Wes Streeting's feet to the fire.
She tweeted today, actually, and said, I'm going to be someone that stands up for unions. So she backs the BMA and the striking doctors over Wes Streeting. You do love to see it. Also, Howard Beckett was who I was talking about. Thank you so much, chat, for reminding me. I'm so bad with names. But yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, if Egan rejoins the party, she will have an NEC seat, right? It gives her kind of like a very small amount of bargaining power in the party. Do you think she's going to accept the seat, or is she going to sort of try and remain outside the party, add external pressure? I mean, what do you think she should do?
What do I think she should do? Okay, I'd advise her not to rejoin, as you have more influence on politics overall outside of the Labour Party. Inside, I feel like you will get bogged down in disputes, particularly if you're having to sit on this NEC, right? I think there are a lot of problems associated with rejoining. Starmer's Labour is also a bit of a poison chalice right now, as I was saying before, and it's best not, I think, to have her join the party executive committee just before the May elections, which are probably going to be a disaster for Starmer's Labour, right? If she's on the NEC, the Labour right will probably try and find a way to go, oh, well, you've just joined the NEC and now we've had these disastrous elections, so, you have to take a part of the blame or get bogged down in the the politics of it. And I don't think she should do that. I think she should remain doing what she's doing, basically, which is like putting pressure on the Labour Party and saying, no, we're actually here to support the workers. We're not here to support the right wing of the Labour Party. I'd also advise her, I made a note of this, because I'd also advise her to speak to Andy Twelves, who we've had on this show, who is like still deeply embedded in the union movement. He's still a Labour member, and he can advise on digital strategy, because that's one of his specialisms, and is honestly one of Labour's most underrated commentators. And he's always out there taking the fight to the right wing directly. I really think that talking to him and getting to know him, and the strategies that he's got at his disposal, as well as his knowledge of what remains of the left wing of the Labour Party and the more militant wing of the Labour Party, could be really beneficial for her, even if she isn't rejoining the Labour Party. But basically, I think this gives you far more influence, trying to have these sorts of influences, social media influence, digital influence, influence through impact and power, like outside the party, is going to be far better than joining the party and trying to wrangle the executive committee to actually support some left-wing ideas.
Yeah, I think in terms of not joining the party, I completely agree. Me personally, though, I would very much like to see unions get behind your party and the Greens. I mean, maybe more for the Greens right now because they have the momentum. Yeah. The unions are very conservative, though. I mean, they've stuck with the Labour Party for so long. I hope Andrea completely pulls Unison away and disaffiliates. But let's park that there. We've got another 2 stories to go through, so let's move on. It's day 3 of the BMA's doctors' strike as they fight for better pay and conditions. The BMA and Health Secretary Wes Streeting met on Tuesday, but no deal was reached. Resident doctors, formerly known as junior doctors, have seen a real-term pay cut over the years. Now, towards the end of the graph, you can see that striking and being part of the union works, as pay did increase. However, it is still a lot lower than what it was in 2008. Now, many have been saying, well, you know, these doctors are well paid and therefore they shouldn't be striking, as it puts the NHS in an even worse position as it already is. Resident doctor pay in the UK starts around 38,000 for first-year foundation doctors, that's FY1, and rises with experience, reaching over 73,000 in later specialty training. But actual earnings are significantly boosted by night shifts, weekends, and on-call work, with top earners potentially reaching 97,000. Pay varies slightly by nation: England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So, granted, these are not low wages, especially when you're talking about, you know, the higher end. However, it's important to understand the nuance. Pay isn't actually the only reason for the strike. So FY1, which is Foundation Year 1 doctors, of course, are going to be partly motivated by wages, but they're also going to be motivated by other things. Now, the FY2, so Foundation Year 2, and other doctors who are paid more, who are going on strike, partly it's in solidarity with the lower paid people, but of course there's also other things such as conditions. Now, many people will see those wages and they'll think, well, I'm not on that wage, or I've not had a pay rise like that. There's 2 things to consider. The first is that many of these doctors are working extremely long hours and work in terrible conditions. The second is that being in a union works. If you have a job and it's low pay, you haven't had a pay rise in years. That is an advertisement for unions. So instead of being angry at the boss, instead of being angry at the strikers, be angry at your boss. However, the last and most important part and reason for this strike is that resident doctors who are on foundation training are not guaranteed a job. Currently, there are not enough specialist training spaces. So, for thousands, many face unemployment after their initial training is over. This is despite the fact that we don't have enough staff to properly run the NHS. Wes Streeting could fix that. Can we go back to graphic 9? I might have labelled it wrong. The previous... Yes, thank you. Dr. Heather Gunn, who is doing foundation training at John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford, said the shortage of specialty places meant she feared being unemployed. Competition for specialist training, which follows medical school and 2-year foundation training, has soared in recent years. 30,000 applicants applied for 10,000 places in 2025, partly due to increased overseas applicants, the Department of Health have said. Now, of course, we need migrant health workers, right? The NHS would go under without them. However, our system is still completely backward. I mean, we have, you know, trainees in this country struggling to keep their employment whilst we are bringing over doctors overseas, taking them from often poorer nations, which is unfair on them to do. But what we need is radical investment in nurses, in doctors, and radical investment of the NHS in this country so we don't just rely on migrant labour. Now, despite all of this, the public doesn't back these strikes. So as you can see on the graph, you've got 12% support and 21% somewhat support. So put that together, that's 33% of the country who support the strikes. If we look at somewhat oppose, 20% say they somewhat oppose, which is more than strongly support. But here's the big kicker here. 38% of people strongly oppose. Now, that 38% is bigger than the combined strong and somewhat support. And then when you add somewhat oppose and strongly oppose, you've got 58%. So that's 60% 60% of the country saying they don't back the doctors. This is a potential blow for them. Ben, what are your thoughts on this strike and the government's handling of it?
Well, Wes Streeting's handled this terribly. He actually described the BMA and the doctors in it as delinquents, which the clip was like used on TikTok, and there were doctors who were literally showing their gloves, which had like blood literally up to there in their arms, and getting traumatized on 12-hour shifts in hospital, going, oh, when you're, at your 12-hour shift and you're being a delinquent with the thumbs up, and people are really, doctors really, really hate Wes Streeting, and with good reason. The guy is a bastard. I'm sorry, he just is. And I'm sorry to do a bit of a low blow, but I'm glad that doctors were able to save Wes's life when he went through cancer treatment. And I think any of those doctors, regardless of how long they've been working, deserve the respect of when they're arguing for their pay to not be called delinquents by you years later when you've been through the cancer treatment and your life isn't on the line. It's a lot harder, I think, for people whose lives are on the line. And there's a sort of objectivity I think you have to have to this. So I'm gonna I'm not really hitting out at Michael Walker, but I'm disagreeing with Michael Walker here. Because Michael Walker was on Novara, and he kind of suggested that he lacked sympathy for these doctors because they're more well paid, and it's true, they are very well paid, but it's not about whether they're well paid according to the average worker, right? It's about whether they're well paid enough to put up with conditions in the NHS, to put your arms inside someone's chest or break the news to their family that it's time to say goodbye, or that their son is never going to be able to walk again. And this is things that doctors are doing on 12-hour shifts daily in an underfunded NHS that is just starved of resources. And I think you have to look at comparable countries as well. Our foundation doctors can start on around £38,000 to £50,000, while young GPs in France start on the equivalent of £60,000. So they're already starting higher. And in euros, we spend about €1,000 less on healthcare per citizen as France, Germany, and comparable countries, because we've been through a lot of austerity. It's not about what you think a good salary is according to your internal measurement of a good salary based on what you earn and what the average person earns. It's simply about the facts, and the facts are that doctors will move elsewhere if you don't pay them enough, or there aren't enough places. The government doesn't provide enough places, because it's not just about the pay. But you can't judge the pay factor, I think, on your subjective understanding of what a good wage is. A good wage to you is a good wage based on the skills that you have, but a good wage to a doctor looking across the across the world and going, well, I could get paid much better moving to Australia. It doesn't matter what you think, right? You need those doctors. We need those doctors here. If there aren't enough doctors, we'll die, right? Sooner than we should, while people who could save our lives are staying unemployed. And I think it all becomes very real when it's mum in the hospital corridor. And at that point, you kind of don't care whether the doctor is paid significantly more than you for what you do. It's not about that. It's the necessary conditions to save lives and keep the people of this country healthy. It's so much more than about just the pure pay factor. Yeah.
I mean, I think what's important to me, and I think my view isn't going to be shared by the majority of people. And I think that the polling shows that, right? Because majority of people in this country tend to want to support doctors and nurses. When it comes to the nurses' strike, most of them back them, right? But the perceived thing is that they are earning loads of money and it's not necessary. And also there are people in the NHS who, could be affected by this. From my point of view, again, I recognise that this probably won't be shared by the majority of people. But as a Marxist, I want to keep class consciousness alive. I want to engage in the class war, because what's funny, look, the right wingers will say the left want to start a class war. No, we're trying to end the class war. Currently, there's a class war against whether it's the government or whether it's a private boss. They are engaging in the class war against not just the working class, but some might consider middle class, especially well-paid doctors. And in this scenario, in this very unequal society, in neoliberal capitalism, I really want to back all workers and strikers, even if I feel like, do you know what, that's a lot of money. Because at the end of the day, you don't see CEOs going, oh, I tell you what, we've had enough money now, maybe we'll stop. They'll keep on going. So, I mean, really, if you're angry at junior doctors striking, you're really angry about how CEOs would act, whereas their position is far worse because, one, they're less socially valuable, and two, they would earn way more than 70 grand a year. So I think I would back the doctors because I don't back strikes based on, I think they really need a pay rise. I back striking workers because at the end of the day, the only last line of defense the working class and the 99% have of this country is solidarity with other people in the struggle. And doctors struggle, even materially, they're in a very different position to me. Or if you're someone who's a minimum wage worker, materially, they're in a far better situation. I still think that fundamentally, their struggle is the same struggle as someone who's on minimum wage. And I think if we allow ourselves to break that solidarity, and by the way, I think it's a fair point where some might say, I think they're asking for a lot of money. I get the logic. But what I'm telling people is I think people should be mindful that at the end of the day, it is great. It's beautiful for the 1% for workers to be annoyed at other striking workers. That's what they absolutely want. And I think it's important that we hold the line and have working class solidarity. I recognise that time is getting on, so we are going to move on. But
is there
if you want to come back in, please.
I'm so sorry. I just have to point out it's a technical point, right? But I don't think that people are actually as opposed as you might be led to believe by that YouGov poll, because I looked at the YouGov poll when I was reading through the script earlier, and if you break it down by age, the under 50s, right, are break down as basically 20% opposed, 20% strongly opposed, 20% strongly support, 20% somewhat opposed, 20% somewhat support. Basically, it's an even split, right? But then you look at the over 65s, and 57% are strongly opposed, which massively skews the data, right? Most people actually aren't strongly opposed. Most pensioners are. I think we need to have a conversation about pensioners radicalized by the right-wing media and swallowing what the right-wing media are saying, and like that sort of like objective question of like, what do we need to do to keep doctors here? Because actually that's a pressing question for the over 65s, because I'm sorry, if you're over 65, you are more likely to need a doctor in the near future. But they're sort of being blinded and poisoned against the conditions that would make their lives so much better by a right-wing media. It really is the over 65s. I'm not going to say that are the problem, but their radicalisation is the problem.
But I suppose, does that really change anything? It just shows that, like at the end of the day, like society seems to gear towards older people. When it comes to elections, right, we can say that older people are wrong for having these particular opinions, but they win. I suppose maybe to give credence to your point though, if older people are more likely to respond to a poll than younger people, I think that's a good point. I'd have to look at the data further to see. I mean, I don't know if you can even find that out, because typically polling wants to find a representative value, right? So they don't want to say, oh, we're skewering older people. So if there's evidence that older people have, taken the poll more in numbers than younger people, then that would be skewered. But if it's representative, if it's an even split, then that I don't know if that dispels the idea that actually people aren't against the strikes. I think they are.
Well, it's an even split, or a proportional split according to the number of people within that category. If you like, there are a lot more over 65s than there are under 25s. This is a problem that we're going to have to face up to. But I just think it's something we have to factor into the calculation. Sorry, I feel like I'm taking over a little bit.
No, I think it's good, because I certainly agree with you that we absolutely need to see this, to rectify this phenomenon of boomers being radicalised by the right. That's absolutely true. especially when it comes to social media. I think that's a very good point. And I mean, older people being more hostile to striking doctors is very ironic, since they're more likely to need their care. But it's the same, and I bring up this poll every single time because it really angers me, when it came to public transport, free public transport. And there was a poll that said, should under 21s have free public transport? And majority said yes. Over 65 said no. And what's so egregious about that is, one, over 65s are the ones that have free transport. And two, when it comes to do you support over 65s having free transport, younger people overwhelmingly said yes. So younger people were far less selfless than older people. And I think we get criticised a lot from the left when we seem ageist. But I'm sorry, we do have to factor in the fact that it's not like an even gradient between younger and older people, and people's opinions slightly change as you get older. It's quite literally 18 to 50 believe in one thing, and 18 to 50-year-olds support the Green Party. They're the number one party. Some polling has shown that 18 to 49 support the Green Party, and then over 65, bang, it's like off a cliff edge. I think you're absolutely right to bring that up. But we will actually move on, though. But I'm glad you interjected, because I think that's a very important point to make. But I do want to say, before we continue, we would like to remind our viewers that we are 5 volunteers keeping this ship going. We do this around our paid jobs. Our goal is to become full-time, meaning we can increase our content, be far more ambitious, and build a sustainable left-wing alternative. Your help has made so much of a difference already, from equipment to covering rallies and interviews. Your support means everything. Now, we rely on small donations, so if you want to be part of a media organisation that seeks to destroy the oligarchs, then please head over to turnleftmedia.co.uk/support. There you can support us monthly on Patreon, or there is another link for a one-time contribution, and you can become a YouTube member for just 99p. On to our final story. Now, I thought we'd finish with a funny and light-hearted one, and that's laughing at right-wingers. So Thomas Skinner was voted off Strictly Come Dancing for, let's be honest, being a terrible dancer. Yet Skinner is now planning to sue them over accusing them of rigging the vote. You couldn't make it up. But not only that, GB News actually had a panel discussion on the matter. Now, warning, this video clip is really, really embarrassing.
You might not shock you that I've never watched Strictly Come Dancing or heard of this guy, but it doesn't surprise me about the BBC, because we've all experienced the BBC, as well as, the scandal with President Trump and other things. And so it doesn't shock me that there could be some bias. That's an understatement.
I wonder if he was maybe just not a very good dancer, Colin.
Well, we don't know, but what we do know is that viewers, readers, subscribers, they're moving on from these legacy media outlets they view as just hopelessly biased and not impartial arbiters of news, and they're coming to places like GB News and others, and that's it. That's the beauty of it. Yeah. Consumers can go where they want. If they don't like what's happening at the BBC, they've got plenty of other outlets to go get their information from.
I tell you what, though, if they can reveal, if they can genuinely, if Thomas Skinner can prove that his vote was fiddled because of his political affiliations, that's almost worse for them than the Trump issue.
Yeah, it's the debanking scandal with Nigel, all over again. So the institutions are way behind the curve. The parties of the right are leading in the polls, not only with Reform in the UK, but Vox in Spain and AfD in Germany, National Front in France. So yet the institutions are still stuck to their 2021, kind of woke ideology. And anybody who veers to the right should be debanked or de-danced or whatever they call it.
What? I'm sorry. What? Thomas Skinner was voted out of Strictly Come Dancing, and you've got morons on GB News saying, this is like debanking, man. This is government oppression. Now, don't get me wrong, right? I think, as much as I absolutely despise Nigel Farage and his politics, I don't think anyone should be debanked, because it sets a really bad precedent, blocking someone from access to funds. I mean, that could happen to any one of us. And trust me, I think that's probably quite likely, given that we're socialists. But this is a fucking dance show. And you've got people trying to conflate something quite serious to that. And apparently it's now woke. Audience participation in Strictly Come Dancing is now woke, guys. I can't believe I'm telling you this. GB News is platforming people saying that Strictly Come Dancing is woke. So, of course, apparently the BBC rigged the vote because they didn't like Skinner's political views. If that was the case, they wouldn't have had him on in the first place. I mean, how stupid do you think these people are? I mean, Thomas Skinner hasn't been quiet about his right-wing beliefs. If the BBC was so left-wing, they wouldn't have gone, oh, look, let's bring on Skinner to platform him. They wouldn't have done it, right? He was voted off because he's a fucking shit dancer. That's it. Ben, oh my God. The right-wing always accuse the left of being snowflakes. But the opposite is true. They want to live in a perpetual state of victimhood, don't they?
They really do. It's really interesting. The guy who was speaking there, the American...
You debated him, didn't you?
I debated him last time I went on GB News. I was like, oh my God, it's him, as soon as the clip was playing. And because I tried to call him out for... he defended, he was on Question Time, and he defended Andrew Tate's relationship with Donald Trump. So it's strange seeing him again. But on the question of Thomas Skinner... I don't know if you've seen much of his dancing. He was very wooden in the clips that I've seen. Like, just purely on an aesthetics thing. It's not about his politics. His dancing was a bit shit. I watched a clip of him and his partner, Amy Dowden, doing a dance. I think it was like a month old. And the top comment, which was posted like a while ago now, was about how it was like watching a pork pie farting its way through a dance. And Amy Dowden was just sort of dancing around the pork pie. Like people felt sorry for her. Yeah, people felt sorry for her.
Yeah.
They felt sorry for her for having to be with somebody who was so objectively bad at dancing. And don't get me wrong, my dancing is really shit too. But I don't think that's a conspiracy against me if people tell me this. I think that's like huffing on copium. I also want to point out the BBC, the way that the BBC do Strictly Come Dancing votes is overseen by a company called Promo Veritas. And they're also used by like a Unilever, Nestle, Shell, like a whole host of like nasty corporations that are not known for their
too, right?
Yeah, it must be that Shell, the big oil company, is woke. And Jeremy Stern, their CEO, has appeared on GB News a few times. Like the idea that they are left wing biased and that they're part of the like left wing institution of the BBC. It doesn't really work. I'm sorry, Thomas. Tom, you might prefer Tom. You're just a bit of a shit dancer. There's no way around it.
I mean, look, I'm not a good dancer, but I don't feel oppressed when I'm bad at dancing. Hello, Thomas Skinner. I mean, do you want your little DEI compensation? I'm gonna sue the BBC, or I'm gonna get a GB News media channel because I need DEI. These fuckers are so hypocritical. They talk about DEI and they want the biggest DEI. I mean, the entire point is it's a dancing competition, right? You always get one person who's not very good, but the point is to be good at dancing and win, and that's simply it. That's just equality, right? And democratic participation because people voted for it. But but to go deeper, this is a perpetual victimhood mentality from the right wing. And the reason why the right wing, I say they are just projectionists, is that almost everything they claim of the left is true of them. I mean, what, as a leftist, as a wokey lefty, what gets me offended? I tell you what, homeless people whilst we have billionaires, that offends me. I think attacking democracy and having oligarchs basically controlling society, that offends me. I think ethnic cleansing and genocide offends me. I think the fact that food banks have gone up under this Tory government, I mean, Freudian slip there because it's Labour and Tories, right? Has gone up because of poverty. Like, that shit offends me, right? But what offends the right wing? It's, Thomas Skinner, our good old buddy bud friend, can't stay in a dancing competition, and it's all just shit like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is extraordinarily true. I think it was like Helena or Kev I heard say the other day. The right wing media really is DEI for conservatives. Like, it keeps their
100%,
movement
yeah.
afloat in so many ways. Like, you know, outrage farming, whether it's like this or it's like Russell Brand, like, oh, I've been cancelled for, like, you know, sexual assault allegations.
And then turn to, like, extreme Christianity. And
yeah, suddenly
like,
a
born-again
Christian right wing. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I was reminded of
something
Russell
very wrong.
Brand recently today. Actually, I saw a video of him, and I'm like, oh, God's sake. He was banging on about Katy Perry's ex-wife, and said, oh, she's with Justin Trudeau. I'm like, oh my God, with him? I could deal with, I think there was another actor she was with, Orlando Bloom. So I could deal with Orlando Bloom, but Justin Trudeau, the globalist person. I'm like, well, out of Justin and you, one of them's been accused of rape. And it's not Justin. Sorry, I cut you off there. You continue.
No, I agree. And it's extraordinary how quickly Russell Brand actually went from being a relatively cool left-wing figure in, you know, who was supporting Jeremy Corbyn and stuff, to being attacked by the Daily Mail and stuff. You know,
Being left-wing
being,
doesn't pay, does it?
yeah, to be it, but then suddenly his image has become much less rock star and much more Graham Linehan complaining about the person his ex-wife is with, like, just real kind of loser behavior. Yeah, it's loser behavior, and unfortunately fortunately I suppose for us, it is in the case of Tom Skinner as well. It's just very obviously loser behavior to anyone who's willing to point it out, you know.
And I think for the left, right, I mean, don't get me wrong, we can get a bit conspiratorial, some of it accurate, some of it maybe not so accurate, but oftentimes, because we're used to being quite unpopular and used to fighting with other people, when we lose, we don't say, oh, this is grand conspiracy. I mean, we will say, yes, there's economic and political forces against us. Yes, we have a mainstream media that's owned by corporations. So if we're calling for higher taxes on the wealthy, yes, they're going to be opposed to that. It's not like we have a free reign. But ultimately, when we lose, we will often say, here's what we did wrong. We fucked up. We need to do better. And the right wing are incapable of that. I mean, Liz Truss, for example, I mean, she brought herself down after 40-odd days. And now she thinks, oh, it's the deep state that brought me down. It's a conspiracy. Anytime, like, right-wing politics fails, or if their opinions aren't popular, there must be an ulterior motive. You know, oh, why are people actually not overwhelmed, but there's a lot of people in this country generally quite progressive, not fully progressive, but I wouldn't say that most people are socially conservative in this country. And people on the right won't say, you know, we lost this one, lads, we'll try again next time. They'll say, no, it's the woke mind virus, or this and that, it's brainwashing people, or there's some kind of conspiracy behind it, and it's the inability for the right wing to have any kind of responsibility. Whereas the left, we're constantly fucking attacking ourselves, going, we're shit, no one likes us. Which, you know, maybe it's maybe we need to add a bit of confidence, and then need to have less confidence. But anyway, I'm rambling on. If there's any final words you wanted to say there, Ben.
I was just going to say one of the reasons that it's kind of incomparable when we go, oh well, the left has lost because of like media institutions against us, is one of the things that defines a conspiracy theory is that conspiracy theories typically buck the trends of power analysis. So what I mean by that is typically when it's a conspiracy, you will see it will operate against the against an analysis of power. Like if it's if it carries an analysis of power with it, it's typically not a conspiracy theory. It's just analysis of the status quo and the way things are, right? That's very different to saying that actually the BBC, which has been extraordinarily kowtowing to the right wing, it literally had what was it Tim Davies, the former director of the BBC? Tim Davies? Is that the name I'm looking for?
I mean, we covered the story quite recently.
Had a right way, like a quite conservative, sympathetic director for like the past 10, 15 years. And yeah, to turn around and go and ignore all that and go, no, actually it's a conspiracy because they're woke, is like, that is conspiracy theory thinking. Going, Jeremy Corbyn, had the weight of an entire establishment against him. That's just an analysis. That's just an analysis of power, right?
When those of us on the left say there is institutions and individual forces against left-wing politics, it's not a conspiracy. It is a quite literal material analysis. But it's not it's not a conspiracy because we're like, I mean, rich people want to get richer. They're going to do things to enhance that. It's not complicated. Whereas the right will have very vague prescriptions. It's wokeness. And a good example for me is, look, if you're someone who doesn't fall into any sort of left-right paradigm and you're struggling to understand what's true in the world, I would say, for example, when it comes to conspiracies of flat Earth, right? Why is that a rubbish conspiracy? Take away all the scientific stuff, for example. The reason why it's rubbish is, what's the incentive? Now, some people might say, well, we need to lie about a flat Earth because it is a way of controlling people. That doesn't really make sense, because why would us knowing the Earth is round or flat control you? It makes no sense. What I would say is, give credit to a conspiracy if you can tell me what the motivation is behind it, and if that motivation makes sense, often money. So when we can say the media are owned by billionaires and don't want a working class movement, we can say, because working class power and billionaire power are direct opposites. Just read Karl Marx, right? It's literally class consciousness. There's an incentive there, and it's not a conspiracy because it's kind of out in the open. But something like, I don't like this because of woke, if you have no material analysis there, it's probably a load of shit. That's what I would say. Okay, let's go on to a comment section. That was a fun little end there. I didn't want this story to be too serious at the end there. I thought it would be a silly one. I think you guys already know who's producing tonight. It's Sarah. Sarah, how are we?
It is I. It's me.
It is I. It is
I. Hark the herald angels sing. Yeah, it's me. It's me. It's really great. What a great show. I always learn so much. What a great duo as well. So yeah, super happy to be here for the final Normal Island of the year. So, oh my God, there's just so much to get through. Like, honestly, there were so many super chats. So we'll go from Michael. Thank you, Michael, always pulling through for gifting a Turn Left membership. JM gifted 10 Turn Left.
Wow, yes, JM.
Yeah, really came through. Then James gifted 5 Turn Left memberships, which he tends to do. So really grateful for that.
Legend. Thank you.
And then JM then gifted another 5 Turn
Lads,
Left
yeah, what's going on?
I know. And then Baron Von Slap gifted 5 Turn Left memberships.
Does he not like us saying
incredible
name?
He said that I didn't
Such
have to
good
say
name.
his name. It's a great name.
You don't have to, but you
but
can.
I should.
But you should, yeah.
I should. Andrea gifted 5 Turn Left
Thank you.
memberships. And then
Is that Andrea Egan there, by the way? Is the new UNISON leader that came in the chat?
And then Obama became a member. HQ2 paid to be a member. And CPND
Excellent.
gifted 50 Turn Left memberships.
Wow.
0. Yeah.
50. Jesus Christ.
I like, honestly, grateful.
Thank you. I mean, this
So
is
much.
too. I mean, we're not going to say no. I
insane.
mean, we can't literally say no, but this is so generous. Thank you.
So
Thank you so
generous.
much. Have a.
My God.
I hope you have a
Doesn't
great
end there.
holidays.
Does not end there. Mr. Sat Navatron gifted £5.
Thank
said
you. Love and light.
Thank you.
Love
that.
Sorry. And then JM gifted another 5 Turn Left memberships. So you gifted
Jesus.
15 in total.
Thank
Wow.
you, JM.
This has
And-
been really, really generous tonight,
Yeah,
guys.
really
Thank you so
generous.
much.
Cymru gifted 5 Turn Left memberships. And Stephen gifted £2 and said, thanks, Curtis and Cog, for cheering me up, guys.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
JM is the gift that keeps on giving.
Fuck it out, man. Calm down.
Merry
Stop
Christmas,
this.
everyone. Stop, JM.
Thank you,
Then-
JM.
Specs also gifted £10 and said Merry Christmas.
Yes, Specs.
And then Rachel said, thanks
Thank
for
you,
making
Specs.
the horrors of 2025 less shite.
Hey.
How
Yeah.
wonderful. Sorry,
It's been a shit show, hasn't it? So
Yeah.
So important to do that, I think, because if it wasn't for all of the people in this community, we would not exist. So yeah, really, really great.
Absolutely.
And then there was a few funny comments that just really made me laugh. I think it's the last show, so we might as well dabble in them. Curtis so quick tonight. he knows it's Christmas hollybobs after he gets this out the way, but he has a Baileys off screen. Ironically, he was
I had a
talking
fake
about
Baileys.
Baileys.
Yeah. I had a fake Baileys last night.
Yeah, literally did.
And people were really
Facts.
excited to see Cog, like the Cogster,
Hey.
the Coginator. Cog's really pulling off the 90s boy band look. God, he's
Yeah,
dreamy.
I've been getting that. Yeah,
And you don't even, I don't think you try to, but you just think where you're at, mentally.
Literally. And someone
Ben
said,
Sink, that's a good one.
And I think Curtis did this one.
I know.
Was
Soys
this
to
you?
I mean, Ben,
Oh,
you're still
man.
kind of soy, aren't you?
yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I'm not vegan yet, but we'll see.
But then Specs said, this is on the first story, her taking a social worker's wage rather than the full 108k package and donating the difference to the cause is so based, and absolutely it definitely
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Blimey.
£181,000 Unison Gen Secretary gets, and she did promise from the beginning. And what was great about it is she said, "I'm going to donate it to." Oh no, sorry, I'm going to donate, not accept it. I don't know if she's going to donate it or not, but she said, "I'll pay myself when social workers get better pay. So when you get better pay, I get better pay," and I absolutely love that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, she's great. She's doing amazing things. And then Michael said, working in the NHS with Wesley as your boss truly deserves extra compensation, and it bloody feels
True.
like it.
That's very true.
And then when Cog was going on his rant about streeting, Louise said, "Go on, Justin Timberlake."
God. Incredible.
So
I think there's massive I think Ben's become a thirst trap for Turn Left, because some of the comments I've been seeing probably aren't even appropriate for on screen.
I haven't been watching the comments.
This is still technically pre-Watershed, I mean, Watershed don't matter on YouTube, but still.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, guys, we've got to be careful. Like Online Safety Act now.
Yeah, you might get us demonetized or cancelled from YouTube for it.
And Louise, just staying on Louise, she said, "We need to stop mollycoddling the over 65s. They are reform voters mainly who think immigrants are bad and workers are lazy. Them suffering a cold due to their own poor decisions is no bad thing," which I find quite interesting. And then there was this. Oh, sorry,
Are we going to
Ben,
comment
you
on
wanna
that
say
one?
something? Yeah, go ahead.
I would comment on that one. I appreciate the Justin Timberlake comparison, but I do have to push back a little bit. No one is. I don't think anyone is too. First of all, there are lots of over 65s who are socialists and who are obviously
A lot of
doesn't
them
make up
that
the
watch
majority.
our show, by the
True.
way. So
And a lot of them
they're the good ones.
who watch our show. I think of my late Nan. She was she could recite the Internationale like she was left wing as shit. Her daughters, my aunts, literally protested with Jeremy Corbyn. The footage of Jeremy Corbyn being or the photo of Jeremy Corbyn being arrested at the apartheid. Yeah, her daughters went to that project. Yeah, because of the way that she raised them, right? But and I know that you don't mean to be dismissive, but I'd also say no one's ever too smart to fall for propaganda. I think yes, we should be harsh on them because they should know better. I agree with you to that extent. However, and they should be thinking about the interests of younger people as well. Of course, it's basic human empathy. However, no one's ever too smart to fall for propaganda, and so I think we should always be careful about kind of dismissing them altogether.
You're absolutely right when you say no one's too smart to fall for propaganda. But I think this particular iteration of propaganda through the lens of social media and AI is more susceptible to boomers. We can tell something's fake. I mean, Carol Malone today or yesterday shared a video, and it was a video of an obviously AI generated video where a man left his dog on the side of the road and then drove off, and then later on another man came with his car, picked up the dog and looked after the dog, right? And she was like, it was like, oh, thank God for humanity. It's obviously a fucking fake AI video. So you're absolutely right. You're like, yes, no, you could find young people who believe the biggest bullshit. Yeah. But I think given that most of the propaganda is now going through the filter of Elon Musk owned Twitter and AI stuff, you're going to see a disproportionate amount of older people fall for it. And I would say it's partly not their fault because, my God, some AI is actually really hard to spot these days. Flicking through TikTok, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh my God, that's AI. Now, I would come to the conclusion that it's AI because I've learnt about it and we've experienced it. But if an older person doesn't know too much about AI, sees something that's incredibly real, they are going to fall for it. So I think everyone's right here. I'm just going to be the big agreeer here.
I do agree.
I would agree. I fall for AI videos all the time, and then I have to tell myself it's not normal for a gorilla to hand back a human baby to a human being. That's not normal. But
if you're looking at that, Sarah, and thinking, is that real? Maybe have a long, hard think.
I know. I need to sit at the when you go to the Apple shop and they have the older generation sitting to have those classes about how to use the phone. That needs to be me.
I did send Sarah a TikTok video at one point of it was just a still image, and it was depending on what kind of brain you have, then you'll see this ring differently, this color ring differently, and the options were right brain, one color, left brain another color. Center brain another color, and then gullible was the other color, and it was yellow. And Sarah sent back to me and she was like, I was looking at that for 5 minutes. Sorry, Sarah.
You've held it on a live in front of hundreds of people.
I'm a slow girl.
Sorry, Sarah.
I'm sat at the back, no one can see me, but I've got reindeer antlers on. I think I'm the person that turned left that I think is just not quite with it sometimes. But
I'm not fucking with it.
I've done that. To be fair, I sent it to you because I looked at it for ages and I was like, oh wait, hang on, that option at the bottom is gullible. Never mind.
We're in the same boat. Brilliant analysis. So Vicky said, is Curtis saying YouGov are barbecuing over 65s?
Oh, I've seen that meme.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Meme?
No. I don't know. You can look. Each individual poll is different, right? Look, it's maybe I'm just being a boomer right now. Maybe every single poll is skewered. I don't know. I do think that YouGov
skewered. You don't mean skewered.
What am I saying?
You mean skewed. You mean skewed, not skewered. They're joking because you mean skewed. That's why. It's skewered older people. You mean skewed. Yeah, you mean skewed.
No one fucking picked up on that earlier on, so I've been saying it all night.
Oh, the comments did.
Yeah, the comments must have done.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they are being fucking cooked right now. I mean, they are cooked, so I guess
true.
I guess I'm not wrong, am I? Fantastic.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Can we talk about Sarah's not understanding AI? Can we go back to that?
No. Can we go back to the fact that you were saying skewering? Embarrassing. But Vicky said, Sarah, please for the future legal help for the channel teach Curtis not imply survey companies.
It makes so much sense now. I was getting so confused in the comments. What the fuck are you guys talking about?
They're talking about barbecues. Yeah.
Yeah, you're making me hungry. It makes all it makes all the sense, doesn't it?
It makes all the sense. Stephen said, I'm 72, and actually this ties into Louise's comment, and that not everyone over 65 is, in that category of reform voters. But I'm 72 and a retired counsellor, and I think young people are far worse treated than they were 50 years ago. I think it takes a lot to kind of admit that. But just on the topic of, because it's polls and all that sort of stuff, but it's quite a long comment, but Derek had said, I'm not bothered by the polls about strikes. Why not? Where on the MSM is the other case being made consistently? This is the main reason why socialists need to get decent polls. The MSM has to reflect polls votes at the ballot box to some extent. Zach Palance's successors has forced the MSM to let him speak, and he's changed the political climate because of that. Zara could do the same, but even better for your party. After the CEC elections, that is a real possibility. Then I don't know what the rest of the comment was, but did you guys want to comment?
Yeah, I mean, momentum is everything, not the campaign group momentum. I mean, momentum as in political momentum is everything.
I don't think they have much momentum, do they? The official campaign.
Well, I think it doesn't actually take that much pressure to get what you want. Donald Trump right now in the USA relies heavily on the fact that people are unwilling to oppose him. And as soon as people do oppose him, as soon as they show any spine and start to oppose him, then people start to get their way again, and Donald Trump has to back down. I mean, the obvious examples outside of like Claudia Sheinbaum would be Zoran Mamdani. Zoran Mamdani is respected by Donald Trump because he pushes back in a serious way. And Donald Trump, he likes that. That's main character energy. We need more people who are left-wing in the mainstream media with main character energy.
I also think as well, when it comes to polling on strikes, I don't think it makes much of a material difference to that individual strike, because oftentimes you win through negotiating through power through the state. So it does, like, the doctors don't need the majority of the people on their sides. They know they have bargaining power against Wes Streeting. So in their individual case, it doesn't matter too much. It's just my worry about the broader feeling towards workers going on strike. And if we're seeing a profession like doctors, in which generally most people back, then when it comes to train drivers, even less sympathy. I just worry about the lack of sympathy for the working class. That's all. Also, I think that's the first ever tweet we managed to get on screen. We've never done that before. Yeah, it's the first ever time we've ever shown a tweet, which is pretty cool. I think it shows that we've got more viewers on Twitter now. I think we've got 168 viewers on Twitter, so...
That's quite cool. Yeah, brilliant. And then... the other ones are quite light-hearted, but
cool. Do you mind if I just say? Yeah, sorry, do you mind if I just say before you do Spex's comment? Excuse me. I think unions as a whole need better communication and better social media. The way that unions communicate primarily at the moment is through email. That has to change. They have to get better at doing social media because their support is going to come from young people in the future. The boomers are radicalized, and the thing is, like, emails, it's not a very good way of communicating with people because we all get so many emails. Everyone gets thousands of emails and the unions themselves don't help this because, of course, they sign you up for emails. They send you really important, like 3 really important emails every month or so. And then they send you like 7, here's what's going on in Unison, or here's what's going on in Unite, or whatever it happens to be. And what we need is social media that is getting to the heart of issues and also being responsive. The CWU have actually been quite good at this. They've been responding by backing people like Helena, who was, I think, was backed by the CWU for a while, had it in her background. I think we need we need this the unions to take a lot more interest in what goes on in the online world and social media and start publishing responses. So when like AI slop comes out from bosses saying this is what the unions are doing, there's somebody who's ready to respond and go, okay, we've got a response video to put out. Here's where we're going to, here's to do a breakdown. I'm trying to think of who would be a good exemplar of taking the, responding to those things and breaking them down. And there's not many figures, but basically doing some of what we do when we take video clips and say, okay, here's why they're wrong about the strikes and stuff. This stuff needs to be coming from inside the union itself, and they need to be having a lot better communication with their members more generally for better organising. And social media is a tool to do that. And I want to see that. I just want to see that.
I agree that typically unions don't have great social media presence or great communication. There are a few things. It's too little and often. In fact, I watched one today, which was an actor. He was working with Momentum for a while. I think it's the same sort of group of actors. And it was a Dragon's Den in reverse, where the dragons were social care workers, minimum wage workers, and then the guys doing the pitching were like the rich bosses, and they were like, so how do, and it was a campaign on fire and rehire. They're like, how about we fire all our workers and rehire them at a lower wage? And then obviously you got all these dragons like, fuck no. And cool little bits of entertainment, informative content like that. You see it very rarely, but yes, almost like a Mamdani kind of social media strategy geared towards just unions. Now, me and Helena were discussing earlier on in the week, it's not social media, but it's another effective thing. And this is the thing where I want the left to really be, and especially unions, re-embed ourselves into popular culture. So one thing that everyone laughed about, which I didn't laugh at, I thought it was a brilliant idea, was Reform Pub. So Reform have a pub. Now, it's only one pub at the moment, but it's essentially a community centre for Reform supporters in a pub. And to me, that was genius. A lot of people are saying, it's tacky, it's cheap, it's rubbish. And I was like, you're really looking your nose. You're looking down your nose on this. It's really bad because this is a genius idea. It's very akin to 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s of mass political membership, where political parties, Labour and the Conservatives, had millions of members, and they had established Labour and Conservative, what were they called? Not community centres, clubs. I think it was just called clubs. Yeah, I think it was just called working clubs, like a Labour club, a Conservative club. And it wasn't just about getting people involved in politics on election day or whatever. The reason why I think there's such low turnout or low participation is the fact that the political system is only there for elections. Whereas political parties back then understood, no, they embedded their politics in the communities. And I think what Helena was saying to me earlier, that she thinks potentially word on the pipeline is that unions might be getting involved in union-owned pubs, which I think is absolutely fantastic, because that is something, yes, have a great social media game, but I don't think the left have for a long time embedded ourselves in a community in which, going to the pub, you might not even think or talk about politics, but having a presence there is absolutely fantastic. A union presence there in which someone just goes to the pub and a group of people go to the pub and just a union poster they might see. So I think that is really, really important.
There's a holiday resort in it's either Cornwall or Devon. I think it's in Devon, called Croyd Bay, with an E on the end, Croyd Bay. And the resort is owned by UNISON, or part owned by UNISON, and UNISON members get a discount when they go there. If you can holiday there, definitely do. I've been there myself, and the food is amazing. They do this like big buffet thing. It's like right next to where the pool is, and it's like a like chalet style accommodation. I haven't been for a few years, but really, really good. Let's see more of that. Do you know what I mean? People's holidays being associated with like people's pubs being associated with unions. That's good. People's holidays being associated with unions is like, the union is part of my leisure time. That's part of my downtime. They're giving me that sort of thing. That's great.
Exactly. Politics shouldn't be just about, we're here for the seriousness of life. I mean, politics is very serious, right? But like, if movements and unions can embed itself in leisure time, that's great. It's why I highlighted this. Vimster says, if G&B had pubs where my membership got me a discount, I'm in. Imagine I say imagine as if it hasn't happened before. Imagine rekindling where you're a member of a union, there was a partnership with a restaurant or pub and got you discount or got you your first free pint or cheaper pints. I mean, just imagine, join this union, be part of the collective. Here's one of the benefits: cheaper pints. And you try to have more community-owned pubs, and the more union-owned pubs you had across the country, you could go to any one of those pubs, flash your membership card, you've got cheaper pints. And yes, okay, it sounds kind of like a retail offer. We're just trying to do this to get you involved in unions. But right now, we've got a big fight on our hands against oligarchs. I think that's a great idea. I didn't want to disparage the last comment, so I will put that one back up, but I just want to show that one.
Yeah, really great ideas as well. I think it would change, but also I think like the whole idea of associating unions with holidays means that we're not, pushing this idea or this narrative that your worth is attached to work and work alone. That you have the right to rest, and that rest is radical in and of itself, and that it shouldn't be something that's radical, but that it's something that should be supported. Just
exactly
across the board. Specs said TL merch when?
It's really funny. We were literally saying this just as we went on, because I've got like a turn left badge thing on, and we should be producing merch. I think next year we're going to be producing merch.
Yeah, I think it's crossed.
Come on.
Yeah. So I think we just have to make sure we do it like ethically, which is it is difficult to do. You kind of have to have a lot of money up front, but I do think maybe if we start really, really small, I definitely think anyway. I mean, I don't know what the rest of the team. I'm pretty sure the rest of the team is on board, I would love to have Turn Left merch. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd like to see Turn Left merch, just my opinion here, but I'd like to see Turn Left merch that kind of starts off small and affordable, things like pencils and things like that, just to,
or badges like the one you're wearing.
Going. Yeah, just stuff that's just like, we can sell for relatively cheap and is affordable for our audience.
Well, Nasty can help. I can help again with that when my vagina recovers. Also, speedy recovery to Natalie's gone through surgery. Yes, we have spoken before about that, Natalie. We are so far away from it. That's why I haven't sort of followed up on it, Natalie. But yes, obviously we'll be in touch. I mean, I don't know how any of this works, but I'm so stupid when it comes to like merch and stuff.
We'll get there. And then Vicky said, lol, imagine thinking Strictly as part of culture wars. And then Jim was like, dancing is woke.
Dancing is fucking woke. It's
dancing
so woke.
Well as woke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they will really use anything against the BBC. And it does kind of feel like that at the moment. Like, I'm ready to say the BBC, and I'm like, okay, like another one, just another. Yeah,
I mean, there's legit criticisms of the BBC that we have all the time, but for them, it's like, they're not that horrible to minorities all of the time. I guess they're really woke.
Yeah. And then James said, when will Cog be on Strictly? He'd nail it.
I don't know. I mean, I've never seen you dance, but you do Brazilian.
Idea.
I mean, you're into Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I mean, I guess you have some kind of moves, but I think the moves entails you beating the shit out of the judges.
Wouldn't help me there, I don't think.
Okay. Fair enough.
Spec said, I bet Curtis could cut a shape on the dance floor.
Ooh.
Let's go.
I mean, when I was younger, I used to really think I was a good dancer. And I couldn't tell if people were fucking laughing at me and taking a piss at me, or like, actually, you're quite good. So I think probably the former.
We'll just have to get enough drinks in Curtis that we can test that theory.
I mean, to be fair, you get a couple of drinks in me, and I will be throwing shapes. So
let's go.
I have no fucking like, what's that word? Like, just no shame. That's it.
Yeah. And then William Jackdaw said, yeah, I don't agree with Justin comparison personally, but glad I'm not the only one who thinks he's too pretty for TV.
Incredible.
I've loved the comments today. They've been
Fuck, that would be loving you, aren't they?
Yeah,
God.
I've been loving the comments. The comments have been
I bet you
incredible and really funny. Like, thanks.
Well, sorry, I keep hijacking the comment sections because they're such great comments. Vicky, let's have karaoke dance night for Turn Up. I do really want in the future. Again, this involves money, but I would love to have like it's probably not going to be like in a few years, but like Turn Left Christmas party where
nice.
like everyone comes, right? We'll put on like a panel, a show, whatever, with an audience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be so nice.
I think that'd be so cool.
I'd love that.
Lovely.
Kind of similar to like the world transformed in a way, but like a mini one just for Turn Left.
Yeah. But on that note, Merry Christmas, everyone. And I don't know what to say. I think that's it. Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Is that it?
Thanks, guys. It's been a really great year, I think, in terms of content, in terms of growth, in terms of the community that we've built, in terms of just the loyalty that we are shown with everyone.
Well, Sarah, in that year you joined us. I mean, the channel was exactly
causation correlation. I'm just saying, like there is definitely causation correlation going on there.
Like honestly, this channel would be dead and buried without you. So you rescued us.
That's not true.
It is true.
What to be here.
What a year though.
It has been a great year. Like when we reflect on it, it's been an amazing year. Like the things that we've been able to achieve, like going to Media Democracy Festival and interviewing Zach Polanski for the first time, and like all of these like amazing
first ever political conference.
Yeah,
that happened a couple of weeks ago. That was great.
Like gosh, like such amazing things. So yeah, very 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 happy. So great 20.
I mean, what was our subscribers like this time last year? Like there's been a substantial growth.
That's a really good question. I think it was like was it not on?
I don't know.
12.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think it was. I I think it was only just over 10,000, maybe 15,000.
I
Was
think
it?
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We almost got to a 40,000 goal.
Yeah, we did.
So
I think
like-
we've done pretty great.
yeah, I'm really happy with this growth, and I think the community was great though, because like this year specifically, like starting at the Discord and having regular viewers, I think that's been brilliant.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Really great community. But love you guys. I'll leave you to
Okay,
it.
thank you. Of course, that is all we have time for, not just for tonight, but it is actually the last show of the year. Now, it's the last normal Islands live show of the year, but there will be content going out between now and into the new year. So it's not going to be a dead channel, but in this particular format, yes, you won't be seeing us until next year. Thank you to all of our viewers who tuned in. Thank you to the super chats and memberships. Extremely, extremely generous. And of course, thank you so much for Ben for joining me tonight.
Thank you. I was trying to look up the figures to see if I could work out how many subscribers we had this time last year, so that's why I was typing away. But no, thank you, and hopefully I'll see you on Monday for the sort of debrief roundup of the year that we're going to be doing on Monday.
So we're planning on doing like an end of year show. So it's not really normal Island. I think it's literally just it's going to be like a bit of fun, I suppose. I mean, talk about politics, obviously. So that's on Monday. But I just also want to thank everyone at Turn Left, and also thank all of our viewers for this year. It's been a great year. I mean, we've really grown. Of course, we are still all volunteers, but I think what's important is there is a real hunger for a different kind of politics, a real hunger for us to produce content from people, and it really means a lot. So I think it's been a great year. Next year is going to be even bigger. I mean, everything grows exponentially. So the growth we've seen from last year to this year is going to be even bigger this year and next year. So I'm just incredibly grateful to all of the members at Turn Left and all of the viewers and everyone who's donated over the year as well.
I found it. Sorry, we had about 17,000 subscribers
17,000
this time last year.
So we have more than doubled. Wow.
Yeah, more than doubled. Yeah.
Insane. Again, that is all down to you watching at home. That's fine. He's done. Of course, remember to like the stream, and if you're not a subscriber, then please hit that button. If you want us to grow, then of course you can head over to turnleftmedia.co.uk/support. There is a link to our Patreon where you can support us monthly, or you can follow the other link to give us a one-time contribution. Alternatively, you could become a YouTube member for just 99p. Of course, you all know that because tonight you've been insanely generous. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.